Hi, we're here today where we're going to be doing our Nanoflex gel to rebuild a toenail. First of all, we reduce down the toenail, clean it all up, and then we're going to rebuild it with a revolutionary Nanoflex, which is specifically formulated for toenail reconstruction. So what we've done is we've taken down this toenail. Now we've also checked as well to make sure that the nail is not a fungal nail or onychomycosis. So the client has gone in, she has spoken with her doctor. We know that it's clear there is no onychomycosis on it, and we are able to go ahead with the Nanoflex gel.
Great.
So we have our nail trimmed down. Now the next step that I want to do is I want to very, very gently just do a light etching on that little bit of nail that's left there. Now I know that you're going to notice a little tiny bit of white, and when we've buffed with the electric file, that's going to reduce it down just that tiny bit more. To do that, I am going to use my diamond bit, but it's a little bit of a cone-shaped diamond bit, and I've chosen to use this particular one because we have to be very, very delicate. There is not a lot of area to be worked on, and we want to be very gentle. And one of the reasons I like using diamond is because diamond can be used on both the nail and on the skin. It's very important when you're working with an electric file to make sure that you're anchored. You need to have a grasp on the toe. It doesn't need to be a death grip, but you want to have a nice little grasp on the toe, and you want to be anchored. So I'm holding it like a pencil. I am anchored with my pinky finger, and I'm just going to very, very gently touch your nail. And again, working with an electric file, the bit and the electric file does the job, not your hand. You do not want to place pressure and push. I want to make sure that I'm getting into that little corner area, because I want to make sure that there's no sharp edges left behind that could possibly ingrow as this nail grows out. You want to be very, very careful that you don't touch the nail bed, because the bed is going to be quite sensitive too. So we've reduced the nail down, we've smoothed it out, and we've etched those edges. Now one of the things that I want to do from here is I actually do want to go in and once again, check my corners just to make sure that there's no little sharp edges in those corners. How you doing?
Great.
Good, good.
Thank you.
This side here, it's nice and smooth. This side, I feel a little tiny bit of a catch, so I just want to make sure I take that out. So I'm going to go in with my small flat edge and just very carefully and gently remove that tiny little piece of nail. And there we go. Then I'm actually going to go in with my ingrown file and just very, very gently take the edge down, making sure, again, there's no sharp little shards left in there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start prepping the nail, and I'm going to be getting it ready to put the Nanoflex on. And I love the Nanoflex because it is something that is specifically formulated for the toenail. So it's safe to use on the toenails. It is a hard gel, but it is very, very flexible. So inside the shoe, it's going to have some movability to it, so it's not going to create further damage and trauma. So the first step is I want to cleanse the nail. So I'm going to be cleansing it, and I'm using my Fusion cleanser. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm wiping it clean, making sure I'm getting rid of all the little particles of dust, and that, you know, basically I have a clean palette to work on. Here we go. So my next step is going to be put a little bit of the gel onto my plate to work with, because I don't want to be dipping back and forth. So you can see there's little tiny silver particles in the gel, and that is nanosilver. And nanosilver has like 600 properties for antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal. So this is something that I like to use because it's going to bring health or keep the nail healthy as it grows out. So I'm just going to go in, and I know I've got a little bit of a rebuild to do, so I'm just going to go in and I'm going to very carefully scoop out what I think I need to rebuild that nail, and I'm just going to put it on my palette. Close up the lid, put my gel back there. Next step, now that I have my gel prepped and ready, is I need to prep or put my bonding agent on just the natural nail. Again, I'm not double dipping here. I've got a disposable brush that I'm going to use. If you were doing more than one nail, you can really load this brush up and you can actually apply the gription to all of the nails, or as many nails as you needed to. So I'm just applying that to the natural nail. And then once I have my gription on, I'm going to take my light and I'm going to cure the nail. So if you've got a UV, it's a 30-second it's a 30-second for LED, and it's 120 for a UV. Now, the Nanoflex comes together in a kit, and in the kit, it actually comes with a rechargeable light. And I love this rechargeable light because I can take it where I need it to go. I don't have to be attached through cords or anything, and it's right there. I just hold it over the toe, 30 seconds, because this is an LED light, and that's all I need. So lights off, and here we go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start building the nail. And I mean, you can use a nail brush if you've got a favorite nail brush you like to use, or I'm going to be using, again, a disposable lip wand, and that's what I'm going to be building the nail with. So with my first coat, what I want to do is I just want to take a small amount, and I'm going to apply it just basically where the natural nail is. So there's not a whole lot of natural nail there. There's just a little tiny bit. If you overlap a little bit, that's okay. And then we want to cure. So again, we're going to cure because this is an LED, we're going to cure for 30 seconds. Who knew 30 seconds was so long? That's what I like about the timed light and everything. We can just get it on there. There should be no sensation. Any sensation? Great, great. Now, our next step is we take a little bit more of our Nanoflex gel, and now we're going to actually build where we want to have the nail, or cover where we want to have a nail. Now, make sure you don't get it too thick. It's better to start in small increments and build it up and do it a couple of times than try and do it all at once. So you can see where we're touching the natural nail, we're going a little bit over the natural nail, but we're also bringing it up so that it looks like a toenail. And again, we want to take our light and we want to cure the nail. Now, I've been working with the Nanoflex gel for a couple of years now, and I have seen some absolutely amazing results with it. And what I like about the Nanoflex, again, is it is specifically formulated for the toenails. I like that it is actually clear. And I like the fact that it's clear because you can see that natural nail as the nail grows out. You can see if it's healthy or unhealthy, if you should be taking it off. So I like the fact that it's clear. You want to cover it up with polish, you're absolutely able to. So then we want to take our next coat. And again, it's the same thing. We just want to start building a little bit of a nail. You want to make sure that you're getting into that little corner. Otherwise, as that nail grows out, you're going to have a bit of a gap there. You don't want to have a gap. And try and give it a little bit of a free edge. You might have to play with it a little bit, and that's okay. The other thing I like about the Nanoflex is you can see where it's not really, really runny, but it's also not, really thick. It will move a tiny little bit. So if we take the toe and point it down a little bit, the gel is actually going to come down a little bit. It's going to self-level a little bit. If you need it to come to one side, if you need it to come to the other side, just very, very gently move the toe around, and that's going to help with that gel. And so you can see where that gel is starting to even out. If you get a little bit too much in a groove area, that's where you've got your orange wood stick. You can clean out the groove area. And again, you can go in, now that we've got that next coat on, and you can bond it, or cure it. It's going to look great.
It's already looking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. How does it feel?
Great.
Good. Now, if you're really good at doing nails, you might be able to get this done in 3 coats, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, that's too thin. You don't want it too thin because if it is too thin, it will tear. So, there's kind of that fine line between making it thick enough but not too thin so it tears, but, not so thick that it looks, like a chiclet. We don't want a chiclet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to apply another coat because again, I know I need to make it a little bit thicker. It's much too thin. And just a tad at the tip. Not too much though. All right, and then I'm going to just very gently bend it forward a tiny little bit, let it roll a little tiny bit, make sure my grooves are good. And we don't even really need to extend it all that much because it is going to grow. As that natural nail grows, it's going to grow as well. So you don't want to make it too long. You don't really want to make it sticking up because then it is going to bang and traumatize in the shoe. All right, I've let it self-level a little tiny bit. Now I'm going to cure it. And when I do that final cure, I'll be honest with you, I give it an extra 30 seconds. I know it's only 30 seconds with the LED, but I just want to make sure that it is properly cured. And if you've got one of your layers a little bit thick, it might take a little bit longer to cure. And you thought 30 seconds was long. 60's even longer. But again, I love this little light because I can have this light right here, no cords attached or anything. And you know what? You can use any of your regular USB cords to charge it up. All right, so there we go. We've got this nail built. Ta-da! We've got our final coat on. Wow, when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking that leveled not too badly. I've got a tiny little bit of work to do, but not too much there. So my next step that I want to do now is I want to wipe the resin off. You know, be picky with your sticky. So I'm going to take the Fusion Cleanser and I'm going to wipe the resin off. Use lint-free wipes. Lint is not your friend when it comes to working with enhancements. So I've given that nail a nice wipe, cleaned it off, so you can see where, no, there is not a whole bunch of sparkly, shiny color to it, so it's good for your male clients as well. You will see a tiny little hint of shimmer, but nothing too serious. So now the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I buff that nail a little tiny bit, so that there's no little ridges and valleys. When you polish it, sometimes you'll see those little ridges and valleys. If she was going polish free, we could basically almost leave that nail alone. It looks pretty good. Now, it will start to lift away from the skin in a day or two, okay? It doesn't stay adhered to the skin, so you do need to have a little bit of a nail for this to stay attached to. Somebody that has completely no nail at all, it's not going to stay attached to. So when I'm working on buffing this out and smoothing it down, I have a couple of different choices of bits that you can use. You do not want to use your diamond bit in this case because your diamond bits, the dust is very fine and it's hard to clean out. So I like to use either a ceramic bit. You could use a white ceramic bit, or I will also use my blue bit, which is the particle vapor deposition on there. And I'll be honest with you, I like both bits probably equally. So the bit that I am going to use is going to be the white bit. I know the blue one's Vicky's favorite bit. I put it aside. I'll use the other one. And I just want to very gently just do a little bit of buffing on this nail, especially at the back, just to make sure that there's not a big line as that nail grows out. And again, you want to be very careful with using your electric file. You want to go all crazy. Just very slow, methodical, gentle touch. I'm using a vacuum suction machine. If I was not using a vacuum suction machine, I would definitely be wearing a mask to work with an electric file. Now, if you did not want to use the electric file, you don't have to. You could actually do this via handwork as well. Alrighty, so we've got our nail buffed down. We've taken our file And if we need to, we can take our file and we can shape the edges. The final thing you want to do is give it a nice wipe and get all that little particles of dust off, and you're good to go. So you can polish over top of this and you wouldn't even know that there was anything on that nail. It looks that natural. The one thing that I do recommend is always, when you do put that artificial enhancement on there, that prosthetic, you want to make sure that you recommend that the client is using tincture every single day at home. They want to use an antifungal tincture just to make sure that nail stays healthy. My choice is the Footlogics. I like the Footlogics because it has the avocados and the panthenols, and it promotes a healthy nail growth as well. So there you go. That is our Nanoflex.